Despite appearing majorly in only a couple instances in Hazbin Hotel so far, Lucifer Morningstar, Charlie's father, and the King of Hell felt like he was able to get his message across to the viewers on what kind of person he really is, or was. A being who's seen the absolute worst of both heaven and hell since the beginning of humanity itself. I know I recently criticized the pacing of Hazbin being a bit faster than I'd like it to be, even if it's out of the creatives team's hands, but Lucifer's whole focus felt like it was one of the few instances where it didn't feel it was happening too quickly, at least in the sense of him overcoming his fears and allowing Charlie to carry out her dreams. And that could be because of Lucifer already feeling like he had a big looming presence in Hazbin Hotel for so long, even before properly showing up. We're able to learn a decent amount of things about him through the words of Charlie, and to a much lesser extent, other residents of hell. On top of being someone who's existed in real-life Christian theology for thousands of years, I think it makes it easier for some to feel some kind of pre-existing connection with the character. That's my theory anyway. So I wanted to take this video to explore this wacky circus man's journey throughout Hazbin Hotel so far. Firstly, I want to take a look at Lucifer's design and appreciate the extra details that went into it. For starters, we can see he's using an apple-themed cane and sports an apple atop his hat too, which of course is a direct reference to his backstory in Hazbin, where he and Lilith gave Eve the forbidden fruit to turn her into the first sinner, but a similar story from the real world as well, where both Adam and Eve ate the forbidden fruit given to them by a serpent, in turn getting banished from the Garden of Eden by God himself. This same serpent is also a part of Lucifer's hat coiled around the base. Might be a little hard to see at times, but it's noticeable at the proper angles. There's also been some who I've seen point out on Twitter that if you look at Lucifer directly from the back, his jacket looks like an eaten apple core, which if intentional is another cute detail. Even just looking at his outfit as simply as possible, most would agree it resembles that of a lion tamer or ringleader outfit that you'd see at a circus act. Either or works, because on one hand, the lion tamer route would line up with Lucifer being the sin of pride in Hazbin's universe. When lions travel together in a pack, it's called a pride. Then the ringleader outfit lines up with him being the leader of the pride ring, and by extension, hell as a whole. Viv herself is also one on record saying all of the 7 deadly sins are based on individual circus acts, with Lucy acting as the troop leader. I mean, for God's sakes, he's a literal short king. That's hilarious.
Hey, you short king.
I know there's been criticisms of certain Hazbin designs being too samey in some aspects, like a lot of them wearing the classic suit bow tie getup, but to me, Lucifer feels like one of the more standout ones with the extra details put in rooting from his backstory and development intentions. So that makes me appreciate it for what it is still. Many years ago, maybe even before the beginning of time itself, Lucifer was once an angel in heaven. An angel who always dreamed big. He was so passionate about his dreams, in fact, that he wanted to share his dreams with others in heaven in hopes of making the creation of the world a better place. However, the heaven elders did not take kindly to Lucifer's ideas. Thinking they clashed too hard with the system heaven had already grown comfortable with, he would have to watch from the sidelines while they created the stepping stones for humanity. Eventually creating the first 2 humans, Adam and Lilith. Lilith in particular didn't vibe with Adam too well, so she abandoned him. Lucifer would take notice of her confident yet rebellious nature, resulting in the two getting into a relationship of their own, where they would meet the second human woman, Eve, wishing to share their free will with her via the forbidden fruit of knowledge. But little did they know, this one thing would change the world's structure forever, allowing evil to flow through just as much as good. So heaven punished Lucifer and Lilith by casting them into this dark void of evil forever, the void now known as hell. Because of this, Lucifer was never allowed to see any good that came from humanity, just the bad. This banishment is what completely broke Lucifer as a person, essentially secluding himself to his chambers in hell for most of his life, with some exceptions here and there. But surprisingly enough, this version of Lucifer never really let the wicked natures of the other sinners in hell get to him, more so sticking to his angelic roots on how he saw them, viewing them as bloodthirsty psychos who just made hell worse day by day, which is a direction I'm glad the show decided to go with for him. For a good bit, I was just going off the assumption that Lucifer was one of those tyrant leaders who saw no problem with the way sinners behaved, you know, taking pride in his job as hell's leader, but this direction is a lot more creative. It even felt like his title as the Sin of Pride was, starting to lose his meaning because he was so secluded. He may have been the leader of hell in name, but he sure didn't act like much of one. He just simply didn't care. If anything, Lilith was more of an active leader than he was, with songs that had such motivation behind them that even the worst of the sinners began to feel some semblance of control that could compare to heaven itself. Lilith was one of the only things really keeping Lucifer's mental from going completely down the drain, and the birth of their daughter Charlie I'm sure helped as well. Sadly, these happy times would only be temporary once again. For reasons unknown at this current moment in time, Lucifer and Lilith would separate in some kind of capacity. Presumably not fully divorced though, because Lucifer is still wearing his wedding ring in episode 5, but maybe it's one of those things where he's just having a harder time letting go than she is.
We were on a break!
This separation would send Lucifer into another depressive state, further secluding himself inside his house with little contact from others, including Charlie, whose relationship with her father became greatly strained after Lilith's disappearance 7 years ago. The two were always not that close growing up to begin with, since Charlie was being watched by Lilith a lot more generally, but now it was at a point where the two would only speak once in a blue moon, usually with Lucifer being the one to reach out if he needed some kind of favor Charlie could do on his behalf. This wasn't one of those situations where Lucifer was resenting Charlie or anything either. There's been times where I've seen shows portray one of the parents who have gotten divorced to act nasty towards their children solely because they still want to have a relationship with the other parent, or in more extreme cases, just for looking like said parent, which obviously the kid can't control. This is clearly not the case with Lucifer, as shown in episode 5 right from the get-go, evident by his nervous reactions on what to say to her when he answers the call, and wanting to make a good impression on her when arriving at the hotel. The same way she wants to make a good impression for him, so he might be able to offer the hotel some kind of help to give it more legitimacy. It's not that Lucifer doesn't want a closer relationship with Charlie, it's just that he doesn't know what he's doing anymore. He feels directionless. With Lilith gone, he's arguably even more lost now than he was when heaven banished him to hell for the first time. And just look at his excitement when Charlie invites him over.
My daughter wants to see me. Take that, depression.
This was the start of Lucifer coming out of his mental rut bit by bit throughout the episode. Charlie reaching out to him was the kick he needed to put extra effort into not only their relationship, but to be more productive in his own life now too. You can tell just how badly he wants things to go well with her here. The fact that he got as threatened as he did by Alastor just shows how much he does care. But the most hilarious thing about that is Alastor was kind of putting on an act for the sole purpose of getting under Lucifer's skin. We all know this guy doesn't really love Charlie like a daughter. You gotta respect the gusto to not back down from any kind of confrontation though. Even against the almighty Lucifer himself, Alastor never wavered once. So when it gets to the point where Lucifer offers his help, he only really does it through means of improving the hotel's physical appearance, feeling like he was trying to avoid Charlie's true intentions and questioning about whether he feels like the hotel could truly redeem sinners if they put in the work to do so, which he was, because even after seeing everything, he still has trouble wrapping his head around the idea sinners could truly become better. We gotta remember, this is the same guy who kind of allowed Adam's extermination to happen. Feeling like his point was proved even further when Alastor went on a rampage against Mimsy's debt collectors. Charlie tries to counter this with looking at the situation as Alastor doing this to protect the hotel, to protect everything Charlie's been working towards. But Lucifer still has trouble with everything because it's not just the sinners he has a problem with, it's of course heaven as a whole, and his only daughter trying to do business with heaven that involves hell's residents turning into heaven residents. Lucifer is completely terrified by the idea of Charlie having to go through the same pain that he went through. Nothing seems to scare him more than this, more than anything.
More than anything.
Charlie tries to reassure her father things would be different this time though, because if he could help her get a meeting with heaven, then she'd be doing this not just for her, but for him as well, to prove that heaven can change. A risky play, yes. However, if they could somehow pull this off, this would be a win for not only Charlie, but for Lucifer too. It would be undeniable proof that even the wildest of dreams can be worth fighting for. Lucifer is finally able to recognize Charlie's resolve to save hell's people, and is willing to set up a meeting for her in heaven, in turn allowing Lucifer to become more open-minded again, just like he was before heaven banished him, with Charlie carrying his will just like she's been doing for her mother and herself. Now Lucifer went from broken to whole again. To sound like a bit of a broken record here, maybe having Lucifer overcome such a major depressive state in the span of a few minute song may feel a bit too quick for some people. It kind of tracks back to the idea of actually knowing about his, past prior to all of this happening, at least to some degree, as compared to the Carmilla Carmine song about her killing the angel to protect the one she loved when we met her in that same episode. Song premise itself was good, but wasn't able to tug on the heartstrings the same way more than anything did for me. So more than anything gets a pass in this instance in my opinion. In the end, Lucifer did kind of end up being right about heaven never listening though, yet despite this, Charlie refused to go down without a fight. She is willing to fight for these dreams of hers and her parents until the bitter end, even if it means going directly to war with Adam's exorcist squad. I know we really haven't seen him much, but Lucifer has quickly become one of the most intriguing characters in Hazbin Hotel for me. Truly a time to be alive when the show can make me feel empathetic towards the ruler of hell of all places. Looking forward to seeing what else Lucifer has in store for us in Hazbin Hotel's future. Whether that be him confronting heaven directly, more into his relationship with Lilith, or something entirely different, I'm holding out hope it'll be done with just as much, if not more care than what we've gotten with him so far. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think of Lucifer's portrayal here, what you like, dislike about it, all that good jazz. I'd love to know your thoughts. Don't be a stranger to hitting that like button below if you enjoyed the video and subscribing for more content like this in the future. But for now, I will see you guys next time. Peace out, take care, bye-bye.